If you're serious about real estate in Northern Nevada, you need real answers, not outdated headlines, bad advice from your neighbor. And whether you currently live here and you're thinking about buying or selling, or you're moving here from another city, we're going to break down exactly what's happening right now with real life examples. So stick around. We're going to answer all your questions so you can make the best real estate decision. All right, so the market has been all over the place. We're getting all sorts of great questions from you, the viewers, and from our clients. And so we wanted to give you guys some answers, but we're getting all kinds of questions like, is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? And what does that mean for you? Is it a good time to sell or is it a good time to buy? My favorite question sellers ask me all the time is, how many days on market do you think it's going to be before I can get my house sold? And are prices going up or prices going down? It's always that crystal ball philosophy that everybody's always asking us. And it's kind of one of those where a lot of buyers, they see a house, they see the list price, and immediately their first question is, how low do you think we can offer? These are questions we're getting repetitively over and over and over. And so what I did today, of course, as usual, brought our buyer's agent, Sydney Lessinger, on. Sydney, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to answer some of these questions, and we're going to talk about some things that have been happening in the real world, in real life. And we don't like to go back more than, say, 30, 60 days because the market kind of does keep changing based on the weather, the time of year. Interest rates have been bouncing up and down. And of course, the time we're shooting, we're kind of right around 7% again. And you'd be shocked how much 0.25% one way or the other really does make a difference for people. So when we get buyers that are coming here from other places, because most people watching these videos are, moving here from somewhere else or thinking about it at least, what are we starting to tell them? What are we seeing just in general in the market before they even get looking at a house?
Our sales prices have leveled out quite a bit. I mean, we haven't really seen a huge spike for the up or the down in a while. So we've kind of leveled off in terms of just overall pricing. We have creative financing options if you're looking for them. I mean, people ask about the days on market all the time, and it will depend honestly on where the house is located. Some neighborhoods, homes are flying off the shelves. Other places, they're not.
And right now, pricing for the first time in a long time has sort of become a little more challenging when we're representing sellers. Most of my career, when we're talking about what is a sort of even market, like buyers and sellers, it's kind of an even playing field, was always said to me, if you have 6 months worth of inventory and homes were taking a while to sell. And in today's world, I kind of think that number is kind of bloated. It is too long. I think it's much more of a 30, not say 30, but like 90-day or 3-month time frame is sort of an even playing field. And for the first time in many years, it feels like it is very sort of even back and forth, depending on price points, conditions of the property, and those kind of things. And so when we're out there showing buyers homes, when they start asking questions about, well, can I automatically take, X amount off the sales price? What have you been telling them? Because we had 2 really unique examples with one that ended up in multiple offers and one where a seller couldn't give a house away and we got a really good deal for a buyer that just happened this week.
Personally, for me, I call the listing agent. I have that conversation. I just ask about, what is your seller's time frame? I just have the conversation because that is the best way to get insight, especially when you're looking at other homes that are possibly comparable to the home that you showed your clients, and one of them sold really quickly and another didn't, and you're looking at this house going, well, is it going to sell quickly or not?
Those conversations, there's a lot of things that we can negotiate in a transaction or in an offer that have nothing to do with dollars and cents. And so whether it's closing dates, whether it's rent backs, whether it's personal property, whether it's cleanings or removing junk from a backyard, whatever it might be, there's a lot more to than just the price. And so there was 2 examples. We had a client who was interested in a house that the house just sold about 2.5 years ago, and it sold, I think it was in the 670s. And it came on the market in the low 800s, and we thought the price seemed a little aggressive. Tell them what happened in this situation.
We ended up in multiple offers very quickly.
And it sold for basically, we don't know the exact sale price, but the agent pretty much said it's going to be a full price deal, and our client didn't get that. But at the same time, we just wrote an offer yesterday for a client where there was a property on the market for sale. It came on, it was at the 550 mark, and they literally lowered the price $50,000. Now, we paid full price on the new offering price, but they literally came down, which was 10% off of what they originally listed for, because the seller was just really motivated. We talked to the agent. She was just like, we just want it to be gone. We're ready to move. And they weren't really concerned with, let's go to 525 and try to get some sort of other number. They were like, we want it gone. So seller and buyer motivation on transactions or on offerings make a huge difference sometimes in the price points. Because again, if a seller's in a situation where they have tons of equity and they're really motivated to get somewhere, $5,000 or $10,000 isn't going to be a huge deal for them if they can get the timing they want and some other things. And a lot of times for buyers, it is a huge deal for $5,000 or $10,000. So it just really depends on what everybody's motivation is. So with that being said, again, Negotiations.
Yes.
This is something that is new. You're getting to do a lot of this. And what would you say to that?
Negotiations are coming back. I feel in the conversations that we have had about the real estate market prior to when I was in real estate, even in that kind of COVID year, that agents, especially newer agents to the industry, got really used to not having to negotiate. Real estate was going really well. People didn't really have to navigate difficult situations and difficult transactions. And it's coming back. I mean, it takes a lot of skill in our industry to be able to work in a market that it's sitting in currently.
Negotiation literally happens the entire length of the contract.
Yes.
It's not just a matter of that initial offer that people are making. And there's a lot more to it than just pricing, because depending on if that buyer's getting financing, and then again, lots of things, again, like closing dates, inspections, repairs. Repairs are a big thing that we're negotiating. We just had a recent transaction where the appraisal came in low. And how is that going to be negotiated? So just know, if you're looking for someone to help you and that agent maybe isn't well versed in negotiations, that's a skill that you have to have in today's market. And again, because the market is very much evened up right now, that it's made a huge difference in what's going on out there as far as that stuff goes. Now, as far as sellers go, some of the biggest questions that sellers ask, of course, is what price can I list the home for? And I tell them all the same three things. The goal always is to get the most money you can in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of headaches. And so when sellers are talking about listing prices, what are some common things you're hearing from some of these sellers, and maybe some mistakes? We can talk about some mistakes that they're making when they're trying to decide on what their price is going to be.
Well, it all depends on what you want your time frame to be. I mean, you have to listen to the market and what the statistics are giving you. Sometimes, like one of our listings, it was difficult to price for us. Running the comparative market analysis for it was really difficult. And sometimes we do have to not necessarily shoot in the dark, but a little bit shoot in the dark, where your pricing matters a lot, whether you're trying to be competitive and get your house sold, or if maybe you're a little bit patient and potentially willing to wait a while longer for a potential higher dollar amount.
Having a long-term relationship and a real estate agent that you can trust that can help you multiple times over the years makes a huge difference. So we literally just listed 4 homes in the last 10 days. And every one of these homes were clients that I'd helped before. So we're having a lot of conversations about price points. And again, their favorite question is, how long do you think it'll take to sell? And my answer to that is always the same. If we think a house, let's be honest and say we think a house is worth $600,000. I tell them, I go, if you want to list it for $750,000, it might take 3 years to sell your house. But if you want to list it for $500,000, I guarantee we're going to sell it to somebody this weekend. Now, they'll probably bid the price up and it'll get more than $500,000, but that's a very risky, dangerous game. So you're always trying to figure out what that price is to make sense. Because here's what happens for some people is we think it's worth $600,000. They go, can I list for $625,000 or $650,000? And because they do that, it takes a little time. The homes are sitting on the market for a while. In today's environment with not a lot of inventory and not a lot of homes on the market, what happens is this. The buyers that are actively looking have seen all the inventory. So when a new house comes on the market, all the buyers are like, ooh, there's new listings. Let's go see them. So that first week or two, you're going to get the most action. Typically the entire time that you're listing. And if you miss those 2 weeks and nobody writes you an offer or no one buys your house, now you're the house that's in that pool of inventory that all the buyers have seen. And now you're waiting for new buyers to arrive. Or at some point you lower the price enough where one of these existing buyers is one to write you an offer. And it's a dangerous game. Now, when we're talking about small amounts, like if we have a house we think is worth $600,000 and they say, can I list it for $615,000 or $610,000? Or can I try for maybe the first, like we like to list a lot of times on Wednesday, Thursday, and you get 2 weekends out of it. So you try for 10 or 12 days. And they know, hey, if we didn't get any action in those first 10 or 12 days, we need to lower the price. Totally fine. We're having those conversations as far as that stuff goes. But we are not 100% correct every time we ever pick a sales price. And twice, both my clients listed slightly higher than I thought that we should. They didn't get where they listed, but they got more than I thought we should go at by a little bit. I think one was $5,000 and one was $10,000. So it was win-win for everybody. They got what they wanted. And I told them, I said, I hope I'm wrong because I'm not right 100% of the time. And so if you're someone who's thinking about moving to Northern Nevada, do me a favor. Click the link in the description below. We'll get you a copy of our free buyer's guide that will help you start your journey. That days on market question, when buyers, because you're working with more of the buyers, they say, hey, this house has been sitting on the market for 10 days or 100 days. And they say, how low do you think we can get? What are some of the things you're talking to them about and checking from the buyer perspective?
The first thing that I'll look at is if the property has had a price reduction before and the amount of that price reduction, because that gives me a little bit of insight into how motivated the seller is to get sold. That will change the conversation that I have with the listing agent in terms of timeframes, things of that nature. And that also gives me an idea of maybe we could write for 10, 15 below the asking price and have that conversation, negotiate back and forth and make it a conversation.
Yeah. So like, for example, that house we just had the other day where they just lowered their price $50,000 2 days earlier. Our client realized they're probably not going to be willing to take an offer that fast dramatically below the list price that they just went to. Where if they were still at the 550, hey, and we wrote them an offer for 500, a lot of agents won't even do that. They'd be afraid to write an offer $50,000 below. And again, a lot of times it's just having a conversation. And because we've done this so long, not always, but a lot of times I know the other realtor, so you can kind of get a feel and say, hey, you know, if they're not willing to budge at all and they're stuck at that 550 versus 500, then we just leave it alone. We talk to our client and we go from there and we revisit it maybe in a week or two, because sometimes these negotiations will take a little bit of time. Market trends that we're watching right now, things that we're seeing out there as far as, again, first time in a long time, things are pretty even, but what homes sell quickly, what homes do not?
I have been seeing homes that photograph very well. Your marketing is very important. And when we walk into these homes, I have had a lot of buyers who the pictures look really nice online, and then we get to the property, and if it looks pretty dang similar to how it looks online, you have a higher likelihood of selling. I mean, not saying that your house has to be in perfect, pristine condition with brand new floors and a brand new inside, new kitchen. Doesn't need that. But as long as your home is clean, if it is priced fairly, within reason, I mean, obviously, we're all trying to figure out what homes are selling for. But as long as they're in good condition, and cleanliness, please. Cleanliness is super, super important in your listings.
Well, it's the easy stuff. I always tell people, if you keep it clean, well-maintained, take out those headaches that people are going to have, they just are going to feel better about the purchase. And why the pricing is so important is this, or being negotiable when the offers come in. So we have two examples we want to talk to you about where we had this house out in the North Valleys. We listed it for $599,900, which was a little higher than what you see for most other ones, but it had a nice 2-car detached garage on top of the 2-car attached garage. So it was something unique for that area. And we listed it for $599,000. They got an offer. They countered the offer. And the difference between what the buyer wanted to pay and the seller wanted to do was $3,000. Seller didn't take it. And what happened? They decided somehow 3 weeks later that it was our fault. They decided to move on and get another realtor. And then that house sold probably a month or two later for literally $20,000 less than the offer we had for them. So bummer for them. And then I saw the same thing happen in reverse in a much higher price point where an agent had a house listed for 1.7. They lowered it to 1.65. And from my clients who I eventually started working with told me they did have an offer in the low 1.6s that they decided not to take. They called me. I said, well, I think we should be listed in the low 1.6s. We did get some offers. A little time went by. It was right in the middle of the winter, so it was kind of a rough time. It was kind of literally between Thanksgiving and Christmas. They did end up accepting an offer, but it ended up being about $50,000 less than what they had a couple months earlier. So sometimes that whole, hey, I'm not in a hurry, I don't need the money right away, sometimes that can be to your detriment, because you have to realize that just because you're not in a hurry, the longer we sit there, people start to wonder what's wrong with your house, what's the problem, what are the issues, and those kind of things. And so, you just have to be kind of open and negotiable and trust the process. Trust the fact that someone like ourselves have been doing this for, we're basically up to like 2,500 properties now. And even Sydney, who has not been doing this for that long, me, Rob, and the rest of our team is there for her. So when she's opening the doors and showing the properties and we're trying to figure out how to structure those offers, we are definitely having conversations about those things. So we don't ever want people to feel nervous about the fact that you personally haven't done this for a super long time. But like I said, I always say 80% of this is pretty repetitive, but it's that 20% that breaks the difference between the really good realtors and the ones that maybe aren't quite as up to speed on trying to make those deals happen. So what's next for buyers and sellers? People want us to always give them the predictions, where we think the market's going. I always say, get out that crystal ball and rub it up. And I joke because we've been doing this. Our team has been in existence since the mid-late 90s. And if I would have told people the last 25 years of real estate would have gone the way they have, people would have looked at me like I was, for lack of a better word, batshit crazy. Whether it was prices skyrocketing, prices plummeting, the Great Recession, markets moving quickly, COVID, it's been crazy. But what do you predict, or what are you seeing as far as what we think is going to happen? Let's look at this year. We're not looking further out. Obviously, we always say the long-term game in real estate, people are going to make money. But just for the rest of what we see for 2025, what do you think you're seeing out there?
I think it'll be good news and bad news depending on what your situation is, but I don't foresee the market changing very much from what it currently is. I mean, inventory will rise for us as the warmer weather comes about. It's just how the real estate market trends here. And I don't foresee any sort of major spike or crash in pricing. I think we're going to get our average normal appreciation for homes. But overall, I think if you're looking to buy or sell your home, waiting for a better market or a better time or the market to crash is not going to do you any favors.
No, you just have to, when people say, when is it time to buy? When you're ready. When is it time to sell? When you're ready, when you need to, when the time is right. And so you just have to kind of look at your current situation. I think now we've seen, they talked about it a lot last year, that they thought rates might come into the low 6s and high 5s. I don't see that happening. And if it does, great. But for now, if it does, prices are going to go up. The market's going to get crazy hot again. And so I just think for people that if these mid-high sixes, low sevens is a rate where you can afford to do something, and I realize many of us are locked in homes with really low interest rates and it makes that move very difficult. But if you can make it happen and you can get from some other city that you're not happy in and get here to Northern Nevada, or for those who live here locally, want to do some sort of moving, it is a good time. The market is good. Long-term prices are going to go up. And like I always say, as long as you're playing a long-term game in real estate, you are going to win. And the one thing I want to stress more than anything in this whole conversation is, because I've been hearing it now for basically the last 10 years, is I'm going to wait for prices to plummet and crash and all those things. And there has not been an economic indicator that says anything of the sort. And so unless something crazy in the world happens, I don't see that happening. So if you've been waiting on the fence, you've just been sort of waiting for yourself for it to get more expensive and more costly. So get in the game and go from there. And as always, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
If you have specific questions about your specific situation, please comment below, reach out to us and know we can help you, whether you're looking in Northern Nevada or help you find a realtor in your local market too. If you're looking for more information about the cost of living in Northern Nevada, check out this video we did right here that will tell you a lot of the information that you're looking for.